Hello, Joanna. Can you hear me, Joanna? Hello, Millicent. And just allow your speakers to be activated. Hello, Unisha.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
Very well, thank you. I'm going to ask this of everybody. Unisha, what would you like to get out of the session?
I actually got sent this last minute, so I think I'd just like to learn more about B2B sales and KPIs.
Okay, cool. So, like, how do they work? How do you find them?
Yes.
How do you identify them? Okay, cool.
Yes, basically how can I easily identify them and use them in my own work?
Okay, cool. Right. Hello, Zayana. What would you like to get out of the session, Zayana? Sorry, pronunciation is bad. You're also welcome to just post it in the Q&A box. Just type up what you'd like to get out of the session. Zoyana and Millicent, you're welcome to post your what you'd like to get out of the session, the Q&A box.
Thanks, will do.
Ooh. Hi, sorry, Millicent. Yes, what did you say?
I said I'll post my questions.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Okay. Hello, Melissa.
How's it going?
Doing well. Melissa, I've approved the audio and video for all the people. So just anybody new that's coming in, just if you don't mind allowing them.
We'll
So
do that.
Unita, hello Lindo. Unita and Lindo, if you don't mind, just type in the Q&A box what you would like to get out of the session, or you're welcome to just speak up and tell us. Lindo, I see your mic is working. Hi, Linda. I can see you. Excellent. Oh, I can't hear you. I think are you on mute, maybe?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. What would you like to get out of the session today?
I'd like to understand more on how to generate more sales and leads, since we're dealing with leads and funding companies for POs. So yes, I'd like to get the strategy around that and learn more.
Okay, cool. Okay. Are you with the people?
Um, I'm alone right now, so I'm just gonna write notes for my seniors and I'll present to them
Okay.
after this
Okay.
workshop.
Okay, cool. All right. Yonita, is there anything you would like to get out of the session?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. There seems to be a little problem with my camera. Try and put it on again.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm really grateful. I want to learn more with generating more efficient leads, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Leads
Okay.
that will benefit the business, leads that will benefit the like the clients want to have value. They don't just want to buy a product for the sake of buying a product, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And then just strategies around it as well. You know, what's the best strategies in today's market?
Okay. Strategy in today's market. So, so the session is gonna cover how to sort of understand how people buy online. So we're going to talk about the buying process, and that may help you to get more leads, more efficient, get people through the purchasing process a little bit more efficiently. We're not going to specifically target channels. What we are going to target is like strategies in terms of how to know what's working and how to present the data.
Yeah.
I hope that's useful.
Yes, thank
Hello,
you.
Cool. Hello, Robert. Hello, Craig. Melissa, you allowed him to talk. Robert, if you don't mind, just typing into the Q&A box what you would like to get out of the session. Craig, you as well. Just type out what you'd like to get out of the session. Hello, Josh. Hi, Craig. I see your mic is working. What would you like to get out of session?
Just I'd like to know, when these conversations have around B2B and digital marketing, sometimes they can be quite tough. So just in your experience, how do you really drive across the value of using digital in the B2B space, and educating, I guess, the business on the other end, on where they can draw the most amount of value out of it ultimately.
Okay.
That's kind of where my head's at.
All right, cool. Josh, what would you like to get out of session?
Pretty, thanks. Sorry, I was just battling with the app that I had to download. For me, the business to business is quite a new area that we're going in for our hotel business, and I think it's an area that we have neglected in the past. So it's going to be all new to me. So I'm listening with fresh eyes and green ears.
Okay. All right. All right, Robert, what would you like to get out of session? Not sure if your audio works. Let me just.
Can you hear me, Freddie?
Yeah, I can hear you, Robert.
Good man. So I put in the chat KPIs at different stages in the sales funnel.
Okay.
And using them to help with a predictable lead gen model engine.
Okay. You are going to see some of the stuff that we have done for you, the methodology, but maybe there's new stuff. So I think that should be useful. Okay, let's start. Melissa, do you think, can we start?
Yes, and we also have Tabiso who's just joined us.
Oh, hello, Tabiso. Would you like to just in the Q&A just share what you would like to get out of this session? Let's wait another minute and then I'll start.
Yes, I think let's give everyone just another minute, and then we can get it.
All right, I think let's start. Okay. Right, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to let's just start. Okay. Will you record it as well, Melissa?
Yes, we're recording.
Okay, I'm gonna switch to the slideshow and then I'm gonna go out again. We're gonna go into different live analytics version. So just quickly, for me, I've got 15 years digital experience. I'm GA certified. I have launched an agency before, which is now a Jellyfish board, and we do some work with some interesting companies in South Africa and the UK, so like Strauss, Virgin Active, and They Will Speak. Yeah, so that's just some background. Then just quickly, what we do have 2 upcoming workshops that I just want to share now, and this one is especially relevant because some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, we'll dive into more detail in this workshop. So have a look at this one. Melissa will send the deck to everybody, and then you can just click on the link to actually learn more about or register for the upcoming workshops. Cool. So the agenda today is I'm just going to talk about the buyer methodology for B2B sales. So some of you are familiar with this. Robert, you will be familiar with this. Just like the way that we look at how people buy to B2B sales online. Then we're gonna spend some time on how to try and identify and visualize your specific KPIs. Then to make it practical, some of the people want to talk about strategies or like how to actually use it. Is to cover this, and then I've got a section about how to set up Google Analytics to track your KPIs. But I don't think we should. I think we should skip this section because I think most people want to just understand and how to use it. And then there's a Q&A section. Okay, So the first, so normally, salespeople, marketing people take like a funnel. So it's like you put things in at the top, and then magically people filter down, and at the bottom, sales pop out. We don't like that methodology because it almost pretends that you throw things in at the top, and then magically gravity helps you to get a sale, and you don't actually need to do something. And I think the opposite is true. I think it's an enormous amount of effort and energy that goes into actually closing a deal. So our model is the people enter at the bottom, they work through this process, this triangle, and at the end of the day, then they buy here at the top. So these are the little steps and the little commitments that people take to before they actually buy. So to make this practical, is the first step is people usually there's an awareness step, so where people don't understand what you do or what your company does. Then they start going into this like a solution research phase. Then they go into they'll make a further commitment. Maybe they'll join a webinar or download a brochure or join a newsletter, and then only will they reveal themselves and ask for a demo or call, and then the sale will happen. So there's these steps, these little steps that people take to actually before they commit. And what happens is people enter this process, but then after a while they'll go down again. So it takes a lot of energy to move people through this process. One of the key things that we've seen with a lot of our clients is that there's a step missing here. So most B2B websites look like this. There's obviously an awareness phase. Then people go onto the website, they research, and then there's a huge jump that people have to take to go from research, and then it's just a lead form. So I think one of the mistakes that we've seen a lot of people make online is that there isn't the commitment going from browsing the website to actually talking to a person is huge, because people need to give their details, that I need to commit to 30 minutes or 60 minutes to talk to a salesperson, and frankly they're just not ready to do that. So this step we've seen is one of the key things in terms of one of the KPIs that's missing from the sales process, and this is one of the things that we're going to talk about today. Does this make sense? Anybody just say yes? One person.
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yes, it does.
Cool. All right. So Melissa will send this deck to everybody so that you can use it. So the next step then is, how do you identify your KPIs? Because each company's KPIs are different. So the question, the answer lies with your clients. So if you take a sample size of 10 clients, 20 clients if you can, but 10 is enough, and just ask them the simple questions. How did you find us? And describe your engagement with us, and what helped to build our credibility. So the key to these questions is to try and identify, like, what is the thing or the step that people take before they actually reveal themselves and are willing to talk to you. So Josh, in your case, for example, they'll go to the Ecometal's website, they'll browse around, and then there'll be like a contact form or lead form. What is the step before they talk to you? But is it a page that explains that you have got corporate accounts and some of the rates or volume discounts that you have? Robert, I know you guys do events and workshops, and where you explain like the value of the service offering. It's not just a lead form on your website. So I think for everybody, these questions will help you to identify what is that step, that KPI that's missing before people actually start talking to you. So Linda, for example, in your instance is, I know there's a lot of inquiries for what you do, but I think you go into an application process quite quickly. So if there's more people on the site, maybe people are a bit reluctant to go into the online application process. Maybe they want to watch a video first. Maybe they want to download.
We also have a WhatsApp.
Oh, you have a WhatsApp thing. So that's then your KPI, that WhatsApp chat channel.
Yeah.
Okay. So for every business, this is different and this is unique. So this is one of the key things that you need to identify to drive more leads and sales. So you need to, for example, for you is in terms of efficiency and driving more sales, or the strategy aspect is like this could be the missing thing that drives people easier through this process and making it more efficient. Because sometimes the salespeople need to service this, and that's, from a volume point of view, that's also not a good idea. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So these are some of the questions that may help you to identify this. So in our instance, we think the workshops add a lot of value. We also have some resources on our website that just to sort of show and build a little bit of credibility in terms of what we know and what we do, and adding a bit of value. So the next step is, okay, so now we go, okay, we get some information from marketing. The next thing is to determine what are the KPIs, and I think there's an intersection between what should be measured in terms of the marketing team, in terms of those KPIs, and then the second thing is what can be measured. And the can be measured can be quite tricky because, for example, if you do offline events, how do you measure that? Is it possible to measure? Sometimes it's not possible to measure. Then we need to find something else. So in our instance, we have quite a technical issue where when people register for the webinars, it's on a different system. So how do we get around that? So that's the next stage. What after that's been done, then you go back to this model. So you use this model, and what you can then do is to take all the KPIs and place them in this framework, what we call a measurement framework. So we take this exact thing with the triangle where people move up this funnel, and you give the actual names or the KPIs that people, the things that people do, and what can be measured, and you place it in this order. So for example, in this instance, you go, okay, so all visitors is at the bottom. The next thing to track is engagements or bounce rates or the time on the page. So that's the next thing. So do people actually find the content valuable? Next is a PDF download or newsletter sign up, or maybe this could be an event for you. This is that question mark one. This one. So what is that soft conversion? Then it's the submission form, and then you can actually track. So if, for example, your service that's online, you can actually register or track when somebody has actually signed up for a demo, or they've completed the lead form successfully. You've spoken to them. Does this make sense? I just want to stop here and wait for some questions. So any questions in the chat?
We have a Q&A section on the left, so you're welcome to pop your questions in there as well.
No questions? All right, let me continue then. Okay. So if you need assistance to map out your KPIs, I'm happy to help you for 30 minutes to help map your KPIs, because mapping the KPIs, documenting them is the first step. Because if you just go into Google Analytics, you're not going to know what to do, and it can get quite overwhelming quite quickly. So I've also put a link in the Q&A section at the top if you want to book a time slot. Right. So next thing is like, how do you use this data? So let's look at all visitors. So we're going to look at which channels are actually working in terms of all visitors. So Google. So at the moment, Universal Analytics is the old analytics, and Google Analytics 4 is the new analytics. So I'm going to jump between the old and the new analytics. Robert, I know you've got GA4 installed. I'm not sure. I think the other people probably have Universal Analytics going. So we're going to focus more on Universal Analytics. So the first thing that you can do is go into is to check which channels are actually working. What I mean by channels is it your Google Ads, or is it your SEO that's working, or is it Facebook that's working, or LinkedIn that's working? And the way to find this is you go to channels, and what you can then do is look at the default channel grouping to see, you know, how much time do people actually spend on the page, and how many visitors do you get per page. So that'll give you a good indication of what is happening here. So the volume here is important. So looking at the number of users. So if we go into real analytics here, the live one. So this is our Universal Analytics. So this is all. So you go to acquisition, you go to all traffic, you go to channels, and all the different default channel groupings that you. So this is where you get your clicks from. So this is SEO, this is directly to your website, this is social, this is your Google Ads. So here you can see where you're getting your clicks from. So that's the first KPI in terms of that measurement framework. Okay. The next thing that you can look at is, let's just go back to here, is the engagement or the bounce rate. So it's to say, if you look at this part, the engagement and bounce rate, and the time on the page, that can help you determine what content is working or not on your website. So if the engagement or the bounce rate is not good, then that'll give you an idea if your content is working. So to access that, you go to Google Analytics, you go into behavior. Bounce rate is when a user opens a single page on your site and they leave without doing anything else. So if your bounce rate is more than 70%, it's really not good. If your bounce rate is between 50 and 70, that's average. If it's between 30 and 15, it means that your tracking is not working. It's broken at the moment. So the way that you can have a look at that is you go to behavior, you go to site content, you go to all pages. And here you can see the bounce rate here. Okay. So our bounce rates are quite low because we spend a lot of time and effort on the pages. So if your bounce rate is more than 70%, it means that the web page is really not good. Okay. And what it will tell you is if this is high, so if we look at this and we look at that page, it means that this piece of content is not really it's not good. This page is 10%, so this is quite a good engaging page. So I'm going to stop you. Does this make sense? Does anybody have any questions?
Quick one, Ferdy. So I would say mine's near the 70% number. What would you traditionally advise as a strategy to try and improve that bounce rate? Is it reworking the content, adding more calls to action? What is it that you advise?
Really good question. So I think the key principle for improving the bounce rate is to make the page about the visitor and not about the company or the service.
Yeah.
So it's to understand what problems, why the visitor visits the page. So you could look at the search queries that people search for before they find the page, and then delivering the content that they are looking for. So it's basically like reorganizing the page around the visitor and the company. And this is hard to do because a lot of times the leader has got specific vision of what the business should represent or the space that the company should own. So this could be quite tricky and political to get right. Just for example, in your instance, the bounce rate could be quite high, but it means that people are booking immediately after they've visited the page. So for example, if they're browsing a hotel and they click to book it, that could indicate that the person has bounced. But if they went offline and they went to a different system, then it'll count as a bounce, but that's actually what you wanted them to do. But Robert, the same maybe in terms of people engaging with the bot and into the chatbot, that may be the reason why they stop engaging on the page as well. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I think just to add to my point as well, I think it's very important to analyze by channel as well. So
yes,
I'm spending a lot on SEM, and notoriously that does have a higher bounce rate.
So what he's talking about is here. When you look at the default channel grouping, so this is SEO, that's paid search, and looking at the bounce rate on those channels is also super useful. So for example, in this data set, display for us has been 50%, which isn't very good, and then direct has been 53%. So like, why is that so high? Because people were looking for us, so maybe they typed in our brand and they were looking for NightJarr, the touring company, and then they leave immediately. So yes, like looking at the channel, Robert, is super important. So some of the channels service this section, the lower section of the buying process better. So for example, if you go here, when you run display ads and when you do YouTube, and you're basically playing in the awareness space, those channels tend to have lower engagement rates. So it has to be seen in context. Okay. Robert, I hope that was useful. Does anybody else have a question?
Freddie, sorry, maybe just on my side, being in the hotel industry, one of the things that we kind of grapple with is the, I guess, competition with the OTAs or online travel agents. On the one hand, I guess we would like to see increased traffic, whether it be on the OTAs or our website. I guess the question I have is, how do we track activity on sites like booking.com versus our own website?
Good question. So Google Analytics can only track the data that sits on your website. So you won't be able to see any action that actually happens inside booking.com. What you can do, however, is get data from booking.com and put it into, for example, Google numbers, and then you can build dashboards from that data. So what happens is you won't be able to see the data inside analytics, but you can see it using a dashboard. So let me just give you an example. So this, for example, is a dashboard that we built using Google Data Studio. So the next workshop is actually going to go about this. But just to give you an idea, Josh, is this new deals. This is actually not from Google Analytics. This is from a Google Excel sheet, like an Excel sheet that we pull in. And then we combine the Google Analytics data with the Excel sheet data. So this is Google Analytics again. And then this stuff is from our CRM. So in your instance, what you could do is we pull in the Google Analytics data here, and then we pull in your booking.com data in here. Does that make sense?
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Okay. So in your instances, Google Analytics will give you some of the data, and then we need to use Google Data Studio to combine and give you a holistic view of what's actually going on. So Robert, in your instance, HubSpot's data will then go into a dashboard that looks like this. So we're using Google Analytics data, and then the last part that's around sales will be from HubSpot. I hope that helped. Any other questions? No. Okay. Cool. Just two more things that'll help you with the bounce rates. Is the text needs to be easy to read and to use it. And then quick loading times helps as well, because a lot of most of the visitors actually come from mobile phones, and the loading time on a mobile phone is really important. So having a very quick loading time helps a lot with the bounce rate as well, because if, for example, somebody loads your website and it takes 12 seconds to load, especially if you have users with older smartphones, just like in your instance, then the speed is incredibly important, because if, for example, they're waiting 10 seconds or 20 seconds, and because of the processing speed of their smartphones, they will drop off as well. And then Google also picks this up as a really bad experience, and that could negatively affect your organic rankings on Google as well. Okay. Cool. So let's talk about the softer stuff. So webinar signups, demos, or PDF downloads. So this is that little question mark thing here that I spoke about. Yeah. So how do we actually measure this part there, like the soft stuff? So for example, Linda, with you, it could be like when somebody opens up a WhatsApp channel. So the way to track this is you can set up a goal in Google Analytics for that. So it could be, so in this instance, in Universal Analytics, we set up a goal for the contact page views that was actually on somebody had visited and looked at our telephone number or the contact us form on the website. So what we do is we can then see that in Google Analytics to get a sense of somebody taking a small commitment to see what we're doing. And then what we could do is look at that data, but view it in relation to the channels that we have. So for example, organic search, we got 16 contact views. With direct, we got 20. With social, we got 3. And what's quite interesting here is the ratio. So of the number of people that actually went there was, so we got way more organic clicks, but we only got 16 people that actually went to the contact us page. So it doesn't look like the quality was great. There was only 2% of the people went there, but people that came directly to NightJarr.com, 6% of them actually went to the page. So what this tells me is that the direct traffic was producing, the quality of that traffic just was better in terms of organic traffic. So there's something, we're getting lots of organic traffic, but the quality is not really good. It's like 2% instead of 6% or 3% or 4%. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, Ferdy. But with direct traffic, how much do you have to take it with a pinch of salt?
So in your instance, a lot, because people sign into your system from probably going direct. So I think in your instance, it's different because of the way that your system is set up and the way that they log in. So for example, with Charles, people don't log into his system to book, to access the services. They visit the site, and then they book online. And I think that's sort of more useful for him. For you, I don't think direct traffic is going to be that useful.
Yeah. I just think often they've done other channels first. So you know, direct is often a repeat visitor, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
What is interesting about the direct channel is it's a very good indication of your brand's momentum over time, and is your brand growing in the market. So this direct channel is a very good gauge to see if the branding and softer marketing that and the awareness that you do, is that growing over time or staying the same. So for example, Linda, for you, is you can look at direct traffic and to say, is it growing over time or not? And if it's not growing, then there's something not great in terms of the branding work that you're doing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm just gonna show a screen of Google Analytics 4 as well. So Google Analytics 4, we've actually set this up in terms of our soft conversions on the page. So this is what it looks like. So you go to reports, and then you go to traffic acquisition, and the page actually, let's just make this smaller. Everything here, there's the same channels that's listed here. And we have set up a conversion for workshop registration button clicks. So that's a soft, very soft conversion in our instance. So now we can see that we sent out an email yesterday, and I know Josh clicked on it and Robert clicked on it. And so we got 10 people that clicked on the register button there. So that's showing up in the interface. So now we know, okay, cool, the email campaign worked. Direct was 8 and organic was 3. What's interesting here is I can see from our organic search, we're getting lots of clicks. Nobody is registered for the workshop. And out of 600 clicks, we should have at least had a few. So what this tells us is the content on our site is not aligned with, A, we're not promoting the workshops well on the website, and B, the content on what we wrote about 2 years ago is not relevant to what we're actually doing anymore, and we are aware of that. Okay, does that make sense? Let me continue. Right. I don't think it's that useful to spend time on how to set up a goal in the session unless somebody would like to cover this. Is there anybody in the session that would like to cover this? No. Okay. Melissa, is there anybody in the chat that said yes?
No, no.
Cool.
I think we can carry on. Yep.
Okay. So this is very important. So I want to just talk quickly about these KPIs, because it's very important. Once you've set up the KPIs, one of the key things is how do you actually use it? So because all the data sits inside Google Analytics, so what happens is you need to browse around, you need to understand what you're doing, you need to go to the right report, you need to set up the right filters. So one of the things that we've found exceptionally valuable is to present the data in a logical way. And what I mean by that is how do we, so now we've spent all this time and money on setting up the tracking. It's now the time to make it useful. So what I definitely recommend playing around with is use this sort of framework. We like using this user framework that you want, but then what you do is bring in the data that's relevant to the business and only show the data that's relevant to the business. Because one of the issues with analytics is there's just too many metrics and too much data in there. So presenting the data in a way that people can understand and in the context. So for example, here is impressions is how many people saw our ad. So that's the number for that. How many website visitors did we have? We had 62. Is it up or down? No, it's down by 43%. Workshop web page views. How many people looked at the page? 13. Okay. Then registrations. We're struggling. We can't pull that data in. And then we go, and then we pull in the CRM data. We go, how many new deals did we get and how many new sales did we get? So what happens is it gives you a view of like how are people moving from the start of this buying process up until the sale happens. Because if this goes to 0, in time, that's then going to be 0, and that's going to be less, and that's going to be less, and that's going to be less, because this feeds into the sales. So this stuff is never perfect, but at least it gives some visibility on how it can work. And what we've also found is super helpful is to build this in a mobile format. And the advantage of that is, I just want to stop sharing here and show you, because this is quite useful, is to build this in a mobile format so that anybody can actually access this data on their phones. So what happens is this is my phone, and if what I do is I can save the dashboard like an app on the phone. So see, there's a little link there, and when I click on that, it actually loads the dashboard in a mobile. It loads it in a mobile format. So all the data, the key performance KPIs, and that buying methodology is shown visually, and anybody that in the business can just click on that link and see the data in real time, which makes it usable. And then people can go, okay, now I understand what to do with the data. I hope that makes sense. Any questions?
Just to clarify, Ferdy, that app that you showed us there, is that your a NightJarr product? It's not just the normal Google.
So there's two things here. One is we build dashboards using Google Data Studio. So Google Data Studio is one of Google's products. It's free, because if you advertise on Google Ads, Google wants to allow you to present the data in an effective way. So that's the technology. What we do is we build dashboards on top of Google Data Studio. So it's not like I think we're very good at building dashboards and helping people to choose the right KPIs. And we also link in data from your from HubSpot or Salesforce or other locations. So we build them. So Google provides the technology, it's free, and then we are building. Does that make sense?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So Josh, just in terms of this is customizable. You can do whatever you want in this dashboard. So this is interchangeable. And what's important is you can pull in data from LinkedIn. You can pull in data from Facebook. There may even be a way to pull in some of Booking.com's data as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right. We basically are done. So just in terms of homework, is I think the first step, if this is of interest, is to map your KPIs, then set up the goals in Google Analytics, And then the next step is to visualize the data. This does take a bit of time because you need to just mapping up the KPIs does take time. There's a dev team that's usually involved in setting up the goals, and then you have to visualize them. Cool. Are there any questions? Any Q&A questions? No. Okay, cool. Then we're gonna wrap up. Thank you for your time, and good luck. And play around with the data.
Thanks, Ferdy.
Very much, Ferdy.
Cool. Melissa will send through the deck to anybody that's, well, she will send out the deck to everybody.
Yes, you'll receive the deck and a link to view the recording.
All right, cool.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.